Absolutely. Where's D?
She went to go change her golf polo.
She looked a bit golf course.
It looked like she was going to the Masters.
D, don't take it so literally. We're not going to the golf course, not the Olympics for that.
We're just going to give it a few minutes so people can. That's way better. Yeah, that's better.
Way better. I like the color panel. Looks nice today. Look at us go.
Yeah, I can't wear a collar. That was weird.
Me and he both had to change today because I felt as if I was going to a nightclub, like not appropriate at all. Anyways, welcome to Wine and the Tea with Carm CANMNT. I realized last week I said welcome to Wine in the Tea. Now you can do both. I don't recommend it, but definitely instead of a creamer, drop a little bit of red wine in there. I'm Kaylin Kyle, Donna Matheson, Carmelina Moscato. We got an incredible show for you guys today. We got some special guests, to say the least. Aisha Alfa is going to be joining us because she was freaking hilarious the first time. We had to bring her back. And later in the show, we got Canadian men's national team player, Toronto FC player, Richie Laryea going to join us as well. And then we are going to dive into everything. A recap of the United States game and a preview of the gold medal match. I feel like...
I missed the cue, I think.
Yeah,
producer?
Okay.
The producer didn't tell me.
In because last time we made her wait way too long. So without further ado, Aisha Alfa, everyone.
Here in the room.
Oh. People are like, is it about the medal? Is it about her boobs? We don't know, but we love it. Hello.
What you showing us? What's going on here?
I'm showing you all of it, baby.
I should have kept my other shirt on then if we were talking about boobs here, because they were all out forever. I'm just trying to find yours, if I was being honest.
Mine, unfortunately, are like double wrapped in like 2 comfy sports bras. It's very different than the beautiful, sexy look you had. You know what I mean? Mine's a beautiful, sexy look too. What am I talking about? Sexiness comes in all forms and flavors, baby.
Everything is beautiful. Now, Aisha, actor, comedian, host, mama, hilarious to say the least.
Thank you.
He basically asked you if you could come on every single time. So like that's not feasible, but we're delighted to have you on. So I want to kick it off with you because we won't keep you long as we did last time. Favorite Olympic moment so far?
Okay, I just found out that Uzbekistan has a 46-year-old gymnast in the Olympics. 46, 45. Mm-hmm. Bing, bang, boom. I also posted a thing that said, it's never too late, you're never too old. And this was like the manifestation of that. I love that. I'm like, the Olympics we think of as a young person's game. But, you know, this is just showing us it doesn't have to be. People curl with a beer belly in the Olympics, all right? Let's bring back
true.
Yeah, let's bring back dreams for everybody. So
gymnastics is usually the bus.
Exactly. I'm throwing curling under the bus. You know, I had this image of like you walk out in the Winter Olympics, you finally made it, you've trained your whole life, and you're like walking in the opening ceremonies next to like George with like a hat on because he's balding and like a beer belly. And I'm like, I love this. I love this game. I love it that there's all kinds, you know, you don't have to be like a young little, like, you know, athlete. You can be someone who's been training your whole life that has finally made it. Yeah. Your beer belly came with you.
Gives me hope.
It's
I just like to, we have a fact checker here, Anastasia. I think I'm familiar with her work. She says the gymnast is 46. If you have any other specific questions about Olympians, just say it out loud and Anastasia will answer them.
Wow, that is a new service.
And I will say, again, this vlogcast is all about you guys. So drop us in your comments, questions, your concerns, your facts.
What's this rash that I have? What is this?
I'll just WebMD it. If you have any medical things, because everyone thinks they know everything about the medical world now and after they read an article. So drop it in here. We'll try to answer it. I do want to talk to you a little bit about the mental side of not only the games, but just in general. We look at, especially these Olympic Games, being without any fans, without any family. You look at players dropping out of it due to just don't have the mental side of it, then coming back, winning bronze medals. So for someone like you watching the games, how much does the mental side play with someone like you that's in the comedian world that has to get up in front of all these people, but now we're doing it kind of through Zoom with no fans in the stands?
I mean, I think it's an interesting phenomenon, these Olympics, because there is something about the energy of a crowd And I think we underestimate that until you don't have it. And I know that as an athlete, I know that as a performer in front of live audiences, and I know that as a performer in front of, you know, cameras or whatever. But I remember playing in front of, you know, millions of people, you know, when I was
the Ottawa Fury. Yeah, I think you're about
millions.
6 zeros too many on that one.
I think, no, but you know, I remember playing in front of fans in the stands, and you know, and having it be an actual living, breathing thing that you took energy from, whether it was good or bad at times. I remember, I mean, I joke about walking in, you know, opening ceremonies and stuff. When I went and played at the FISU games, it was like mind blowing having all these people there. It was in Korea, and they had local churches assigned to each team, and they would come out in droves. Your local church would come out and cheer for you and knew your name. And like, it was such a beautiful thing. Like, we went to Korea, we didn't have people coming with us, our families and stuff, and we had fans. So I can't imagine what it's like being an athlete now. You've trained all your life. You go, you don't have your family to come and cheer you on. You don't have that living, breathing, you know, audience that's either good, bad, or whatever, but that you have been mentally training for this whole time. It's just like, it's just different. I don't know if it's good or it's bad, but I do know as a performer of comedy, I just did a live show after a year and a half of Zoom shows. Yeah. And it was...
What was it?
Can I just tell you, if it's possible to laugh yourself into an orgasm, I think it did. Okay,
teach me your ways.
Yeah, that must have been so incredible, that moment, coming back to a live audience.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the orgasm deals.
Either way.
That's incredible.
It was a really beautiful moment, and it was kind of like this interesting sense of community where we were all just happy to be alive. You know what I mean? Yeah. The place I went to, everyone was vaccinated and had masks on, but still, it was just like we were happy to be there, happy to be alive. So I think that there's probably a lot of weird, like a vacuum of pressure from the audience not being there and the fans not being there for some of these athletes, which could lead to better focus, to depending on the person and how they've prepared. But it's just sad, you know, like some of these people are going to get their one chance and they're never going to go to another Olympics again. And there was no one there to witness it in, you know, when they win, and then to run out to your, like those videos of people running to the stands and they grab the mom, and it's like, or the defeat, and then your parents are there, or your family's there, your significant other. Like that part is sad, I think.
I think they're getting a bit though of what you got. I know they're not getting back in front of the live audience, but they're getting back to sport. And a lot of these athletes didn't get to train a while. The international sports got hit way harder than the pro sports. They couldn't travel and play. Nobody really knew if the Olympics were going to happen. So I think there's like, I've gotten the sense there's a bit of, it's not the same. Like, it doesn't feel the same. It's a little bit, you know, for the people that are there the first time, it sucks, but they're like there and they just get to do sport again. And I feel like that joy is coming through.
And it's the Olympics. I mean, even if it's like pizza, if it's bad pizza, it's still pizza. It's still the Olympics.
That really resonates with me. I totally agree.
It resonates with me as well. I've already put my order for a delivery for 7 years. I think one thing too is we look at social media a lot of time not most of the time, but a lot of negativity can come from social media. And I think a lot of these athletes are seeing the positive side of it and the supportive side of it. I went on after our women's team beat America, and I couldn't scroll quick enough. So I think that side of it, like if you're tuning in right now, keep sending those support. They might not see all of them, but like the tweet saying, go and kick some ass. Like, we are here supporting you. Like, I think that just the simplest thing. You might not think a tweet makes a difference to these players or people, but they don't have those fans in the stand. They don't have their family members. And going back to your point, I remember 2012 vividly. And I hate going back to 2012, but I remember Coventry, when the ball went into the back of the net, I started crying and looked at my parents and I was like, we effing did it. Like, we are bringing back this medal. And that is something, I always get emotional, but it's just that moment connecting not only with your teammates, but your fans, but with your family. Like, I can't imagine not having that, because a lot of us did in 2012. I mean, Carm, your brother and family flew over for the last game. Like I think it was the first episode we touched on this. So for all these kick-ass athletes doing it for us, quite frankly, because we're tuning in and watching and like being inspired daily, like, thank you for doing this for yourself, but selfishly for us as well, because I love waking up at 2 in the morning and supporting, whether it's women's soccer or diving or whatever it is, whatever sport it is. I just think it's phenomenal what these athletes are doing with no one there supporting them.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing. I think on the mental health side, there's something around maybe even going to, it's really hard to have that self-restraint to not go into social media land, to get the feedback you didn't get because there's no one there to celebrate with you. And I think that probably affects some of the mental health, is that they're actually maybe getting some of those opinions through their screen. And I think that's probably the unfortunate part too, is like it could be super negative, and how important it is to support. Like John Herdman talked about that last time, and how brutal and ruthless people can be for actually no reason. And how that shapes your experience. And I think it's just so unnecessary. Like, you're not coaching these people, just support them.
Yeah.
Well, and like the idea of like, people dedicate their lives, right? Like these are athletes who are dedicating. I don't think people get it. You're dedicating your life. You're sacrificing so much to go and train every day. And you know, you don't get to go hang out with your friends. You don't get to see your family all the time. You don't get to do all these things. And when Simone Biles, when she pulled out, and I mean, there's this whole thing right now, especially for Black women and Black athletes, and about mental health, and how there's not a lot of support for them. It's like Black women sort of have to be these tough, don't get mad, don't get sad, just keep on going kind of thing. Yeah. But when Simone Biles announced that she was going to be taking a step back, people, were horrible. Were horrible to her, saying horrible things. And I remember reading this one wonderful post somebody made, and they said, Simone Biles won worlds when she had 2 broken toes, and then something else when she had a kidney stone, and y'all are talking about toughness. Meanwhile, you won't get a vaccine to go to Walgreens. Like, it was like, what are we weighing here? Like she is a tough mofo. Like, she went through a lot. Like being a black gymnast too. I'm like, that's not historically what people are looking at and what people are cheering on. And she took a step back, and people were like forgetting all of the things that she has provided us with: entertainment, excitement. Like, she's the GOAT, man. Like, what? Now we just turn? I don't think.
I think one thing with that as well. I didn't want to touch on this, but I'm going to, because it does work my skin. But she has, I think it's like 6 different gymnastics moves named after her. So that's
she performed some of them in, like, she's performed her own moves. I think I said this last time. I'm like, that's not a thing that people do.
That's a dream.
Right? The annoying part, though, is social media went off about her. But then you have Novak. Is that how you pronounce his name? The tennis player. I don't even want to give him a minute on our show. But went and said, if you don't have the mental toughness, don't show up to competitions like this. So I'm not going to quote that. It was something along those lines. Medal match for him, doubles, mixed doubles. Pulled out, broke 3 rackets, stepped off the court, and his doubles partner was left by herself. And the media has not stormed around that. So I think that there is still, I think she has gotten like you just alluded to, with all those points. I feel terrible for her. I'm glad she came back, crushed it, picked up that bronze medal, and basically was like this to everyone.
Well, and if I can just go back to that comment that if you don't have the mental toughness to be here, can I just also say, let me just put this out there as well. She said, I mean, without the negative connotations, she said to everybody, my mental state is not good. Yeah. So what he's saying is, if your mental state's not good, then take a step back, essentially, which is what she did. And people are now chastising her for that. Like, if we can't talk about, like, if someone said, like, oh, I broke my leg, I have to step out, no one would be like, well, get tougher and get back in there. Like, that is part of our health, our mental state, our mental health, and athletes and performers and people who are like put under the microscope with the public they have so much need for mental toughness and for mental health, and we do not give them the space to have it. Yes, advocating for your mental health requires mental toughness. Snap for the rest of my life.
I think we're going to get there. It's one of those things we haven't got there yet. We're getting more educated on, because if you look back, Anastasia, I need a fact check. Carrie Shrugs, the U.S. gymnast. I don't know if you guys remember. This was probably 90s. If anyone in the chat remembers.
I wasn't born.
U.S. gymnast.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very, very badly sprained her ankle. The U.S. medical staff put her back in. I think she did.
Was that the one that stuck her landing? It was like incredible.
Yeah.
Cement.
Here we go. She has to. Thank you. She had to do it for gold. So like slims, like lands it. I think they win gold.
Landed on one foot.
Yeah. So like, and at the time, like hero, American hero. With today's lens, like you were not treating that athlete correctly, and you basically pressured her to compete under terrible circumstances. And I feel like we're there now, and we just need like 5-10 more years, and we'll be like, no, like stop pressuring athletes if they're not, and mental health is health. Yeah, so we'll get there.
This is a good segue into, Aisha, I wanted to ask you, obviously you have kids now, you played sport, you're in the comedian world now, so you've dealt with the outside noise, I guess we can say. So I want to ask you, for someone that has kids, because I've spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of people have different takes on this. Do you think sport plays a big role in kids' development, both socially, emotionally, and physically?
I mean, the short answer is yes, absolutely. How could it not? Anything you do as a child plays a role in your development. I think that the ideal version of sport for every team sport, I will say, is a phenomenal thing for kids, for learning how to have sportsmanship, how to cooperate, how to, contribute. I did gymnastics when I was very young, and that was quite detrimental in a lot of ways to my mental health as a competitive gymnast until I was 13. But even things like that, like, you're learning all this, you're learning to take autonomy for yourself when it comes to sport. I think you also learn like hard work equals generally goodness. You know what I mean? Whether that means winning or getting a spot on a team or whatever. But I do just want to put out there, having been an athlete and all this stuff, and now that I have kids, I'm like, oh, I want them to like play sports and get in there and make friends and do all these things. But I just want to put it out there for all of the like wallflowers and all of the artists that you can also get that same stuff not doing sports, and that's a-okay too. Yeah. Ask me this like 10 years ago, I would have been sports all the way. But, like, I think it's just like, it's the concepts and the things we learn from sports, right? Like sportsmanship, teamwork, cooperation, that it's on you. Like if you want something, then you've got to go out there and train and work hard and do all this stuff for it. You still might not get it, but like that's the best way to prepare yourself to get the thing that you want. Those are all concepts that are going to work no matter what you do, and they're going to be helpful for you no matter what you do. But that could also come from other disciplines and other, activities and stuff too. So I just, that's my big opinion, is I'm like, I think for me, sports has been phenomenal and made me a mentally tough player when it comes to all the things that I do, including motherhood. Zing, zang, zoom. But yeah, like I think sometimes it gets a bad rap because of the non-ideal sections and parts of sport. And that's the stuff we need to shift and change.
Yeah. Hold on. For someone who, so I love these perspectives, and for someone who doesn't have kids, may never have kids, I look at it from a niece and nephew standpoint, and I love what you said.
You're welcome to one of my kids too, if you want anytime.
Yeah, just send them over.
I'll literally send mine over tomorrow.
No problem. But what I'm trying to say, is essentially like looking at all my nieces and nephews, 3 and 3, it's just about that expression as well. Like they get that voice. And one of my nieces, she's actually into drawing and sketching, and has her own caricature and creates her own cartoons. And it's just a way for her to show what's going on in her internal world. And I think there's a lot of lessons in music and discipline stuff I wish I did, as a kid. I didn't do any of that. And I think I missed it a bit, Yeah. I was on sports.
I love that you said that, because the first question I always get asked is, are your kids going to play soccer? Obviously, we come from a very soccer family. Like my father-in-law was a big player. My husband, like myself, my sister, like played in university. And honestly, I'm like, whatever they decide what they want to do, I will be fully supportive. Like he's the world's worst craft maker. I showed you guys that before this, but like he loves it. We're all fully
maybe you just don't get his art.
Yeah, I think it's more you just don't get him.
This is the exact thing we're talking about though in sports, where we're like, we got to let people fail and it's okay, and we've got to be there to support them. She's like, but this guy crafts bad. Boo, boo.
Horrible.
It was like feathers on eyeballs today. I was like, no. But no, I think the one thing that parents, and I don't know about you guys, and like especially in the comedian world as well, you probably get asked the same questions. How does my kid make it? How do I become a comedian? I think there's so much more to that. Like, just support your kid at the end of the day, or support your spouse, or support your nieces and nephews. I think that is the biggest thing that we can take away. Just let your kids be kids and be supportive in whatever they choose, is my take on it. I don't know. That's just my take on it.
The way you make it, I think, as a comedian, as an athlete, as an actor, as an accountant, as a nurse, as an arborist, okay, as anything else, is to have a full life. Which can be very difficult in the day-to-day when you are an elite athlete. I'm sure all of you guys know that and recognize that. But it's like, you know, as an actor, like I go and I do auditions, and 99% of auditions are rejections, because you only get a few, and those are the big ones, and that's what everyone remembers. But like, if my concept and my thought all the time is, if none of this ever works out, right? If I never book a gig ever for comedy, if I never book a TV show or a movie, if I, when I was an athlete, if I never win a single game, what's important is that, like, in the moment, will I have had fun? Will I look back on this and go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that? Or will I go, remember all those memories we had? Oh man, what a good time. And that's the stuff that, like, if you have a whole life, if you have your mental health and you have your support systems and you're taking care of your body and you're having these dreams and spiritual, like, you know, health going on, then it's fine. It doesn't matter what happens. You will have made it. And those are the people who generally, I'm going to say this, I'm putting this out to the universe. Those are the people who generally succeed. Okay. Right?
Oh, fun fact, Carl Lang's dad was an arborist. So just
what is an arborist?
Fans out there.
What is it?
They are people who specialize in trees.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he was.
I didn't know that.
Okay, remember that.
With that,
maybe that's why she was so tall. Science.
Science. I said we won't keep you any longer. I know that you have a million. But like, if you're available in episode 6, that would be phenomenal. We will text you, because we definitely want you to come back. I just think your insight and on everything, whether it's literally anything. I think it's, no. You're a breath of fresh air, and your energy is just infectious. So again, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you have kids and a husband and work and trying to manage everything.
I'm going to stay in this room, pretend I'm still on this for another 20 minutes. So thank you.
In the waiting room.
Just talk to yourself. By the way, bought this off Amazon. Ask me how I use it. No idea. It's supposed to be a microphone.
You put your makeup on with it.
That's for your makeup, or what's going on here?
Yeah, your sound sounds the same, so I don't think you're using it right.
No, because when I plugged it in, the sound, I couldn't hear the sound, because this obviously goes into your speaker. Anywho, if you guys know, drop it in the chat, because
I will happily come back when we've got, you know what I mean? When we got one of these hanging around our necks. Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Aisha. We really appreciate it. And have the best week. And we'll see you next week.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
We'll miss you.
I'll miss you so much. Miss you every moment.
Okay, bye, Aisha.
Bye.
Miss you.
Literally love her. Like,
she's great.
She's hilarious. She's amazing. We've left us no time to dive into a recap and a preview of the game. So let's do, this is what I'm going to do. Because I'm the stage manager. I'm the producer.
Sorry?
I'm the host.
Don't remember giving you that title.
Okay, go on, then. We have 5 minutes before Richie Laryea joins us at 6 o'clock on the hour. Let's do a recap of Canada versus the United States. Richie on, talk a little bit, and then I want to preview. I'm going to leave the fans our preview for the final, Canada taking on Sweden. Does that sound good with everyone? Yeah. Okay. Again, this show is all about you guys. So drop us in the comment sections if you have any questions, comments, concerns. We'll try to answer them here, or throw your comments up. By the way, our viewership is starting to rise. Love that.
It's double.
I love it.
I know my mom's here probably too. So
that's 6 zeros too many.
Ottawa Fury got like 130 fans. I mean, but one of them, fun fact, full of facts, was Erica Weeb, Olympic wrestling gold medalist. Erica. And she cites that team as an inspiration for her in sports. So you never know. Visibility matters. There you go.
Absolutely lovely.
Okay, so quick, now we have 4 minutes because we just love the chat. Okay, so Canada, US. Let's do a little bit of a recap. Obviously, Fleming giving us the goal from the spot. I'm not calling it redemption, because I don't want to call it redemption. I'm lost for words. Carm, let's start with you. Initial thoughts on Canada. First time ever beating the United States of America.
Well, not ever, but
not ever.
ever.
Hey, Anastasia, did you give her the facts? No, but you know what?
Anastasia, stay out of the chat, okay? Go on.
When we say it wasn't redemption, here's the person who tweeted, "We got it back." So maybe I'm not the right person to speak to. Right away, I was like, "We got this back." Horrible call, because I was looking at it and I'm just like, poor tear. What was her name? The woman who fouled. I don't even know her name. The fact of the matter is, she didn't do much. She literally was trying to defend, and it looked
on the penalty. Are you talking about the penalty?
I'm talking about the PK.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. We got that back, because that wasn't a great call. It wasn't a great moment in football. It was sort of like in the wrong area at the wrong time. It wasn't malicious, in my humble opinion. I'm not doubting VAR and the hard work of referees, but okay, we got a PK. They got a horrendous PK in 2012. So it was just this like weird moment of karma. I don't know. Not that I want to more about tactics, but I think there was a bit about karma there. Yeah. And then Jessie Fleming stepping up. And, you know, I know, Dee, you're a huge fan of Jessie. We've been a huge fan of Jessie. Kaylin, we did a show for the 2019 World Cup. Who's the player to watch? Jessie Fleming. Like, she's never not in the conversation. And that was a redeeming moment for Jessie. I think she doesn't always get the love she deserves, and she doesn't always stand out. You know, she's doing 12K, 13K a game, and she doesn't always produce, you know, and I think she produced for Canada and she showed up when it mattered. And I'm just so proud of her. And I think it was just a beautiful moment for the country overall. Can't wait for the final.
Well, I think if we're talking about VAR, everyone knows tuning in that I love VAR, big supporter of it. So I'm delighted, because I think if you would have gone back to 2012 when we had VAR, it would have then again played in our favor, because I've had to go back and look at the rules 800 million times, because whenever I'm on a broadcast, I'm like, it's never a PK. And then I go back in the rules and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, because there's so much gray area. Now, whatever. That being that, PK, Fleming steps up. Dee, I want to ask you, because you're newly stepped away from the team. Someone like Christine Sinclair, everyone knows that she's not only a phenomenal player, but a phenomenal person. Was this kind of that passing of the torch moment to a player like Fleming? We are in the semifinal against America. We've not beat them in a major tournament, and I want you to step up and take this.
Yeah.
A little bit. I think it's too, Sinky's not afraid to share the spotlight. I think she's not afraid to step up and do what she needs for Canada. I mean, the 2015 opening game, PK 90th minute against China, steps up, takes it.
Yeah.
We saw in 2019, she gave it to Janine. I think that was something to do with that goalkeeper for Sweden had saved a few of Sinky's shots. So Sinky knew that, passed it to Jay. That didn't work out. It was a good save. And then again, this time around, Sink would have known she missed a PK in the shootout. She plays with Franch, the keeper who ended up in goal because Nair got hurt, unfortunately. So it can be, I've said, it can be quite hard to take a penalty against someone who knows you that well. It's harder if they know you, because they know your tendencies. So I think like Sink would just do what's best for the team. And, you know, they would have been practicing PKs all week in training, right? It's not like these are coming out of the blue. They've been practicing them since the Olympics started. And Jessie's probably been killing it in training and trusted her. And Jessie Fleming. I mean, I think I first saw Jessie play. Carm, you and I were in, John brought us in just to be mentors at some like U17 camp, I think. And we met that Jen at that time.
Totally.
And you could tell Jessie was going to make it at that time. Like, she was incredible. And like, she hasn't been playing enough for Chelsea and all these things, blah, blah, blah. But like the quality of that PK under that amount of pressure, magic.
Defining,
we have a couple of people in our comment section talking about the Sweden game. We're going to get to that after we speak to Richie Laryea. So if you have any questions that you want us to answer about the Sweden game, the final coming up, throw it in there, because I will throw them up and we'll try to answer as many as we can get to those. So if we look at where the program's going, obviously we're in the final. It's our first final in a major tournament ever for Canada. I've been very, very, very vocal, to say the least, on social media, any interview I do, that I think it's shocking we don't have a domestic league of our own. Never mind joining the NWSL, just our own domestic league. You look at the 2019 Women's World Cup, the last 8 teams, we were the only team in that tournament, the last 8, that didn't have a domestic league. So I think people, because I've been in an argument with a few people saying, well, you're in the final, why do you need a domestic league? So tell me why we need a domestic league, Carm, even though we are in a final of the Olympic Games.
We're the second highest participation in the world in terms of girls registered for football, for soccer. So we have literally the second in the entire world as a country. So if you really want to put numbers to it, you don't even need to think of opinions. Oh, yes, it's important. Yes, it's not. Let's leave that maybe somewhere else. The point is there's 53 university programs in Canada that lose a senior class every single year of players that do not fulfill their dreams and potentials. So we do not have a safety net. We service the players up until about 17 years old. They have to pay to play, very expensive, by the way. And, you know, not everyone can do that. And then they go away to university and we celebrate. Well done. Go get your education. They come back and there is nothing for them. And for us as a country in Canada that needs to think beyond this generation, the whole point is a system that supports the next hundreds of Generation 7. Let's just talk 7 generations from now. We want to keep supporting. We're not building anything or infrastructures to get that safety net to continue our potential. So our league is not going to be, you know, if we have a league, which is one of the many solutions, it's not going to be the top 10 league in the world right away. Let's just be
right away. Okay.
Not right away. Like you got to build. NWSL is 10 years in. You have Spain has been at it for 30 years. It's just professionalized. Italy for the last 20 years, just professionalized. What I'm trying to say is this: we need to start. We need to start somewhere, and we need to give our women and girls a place to play at home without having all to sacrifice their entire life to try for this 0% chance of making it. We need to support our girls.
Dee, is this your, what do you call it, account that's not yours, like that you can just do whatever you want in?
Yeah, what is that called?
What's that called?
Put in the chat what that's.
Anyways,
Okay, this is
it.
I think, yeah, I'm going to go off what Carm just said. Highest participation in the world, so we know that. We have the talent. We literally have the best footballer to ever play football in the global game. So we got the numbers. We got the talent. There is support for women's sport in our country. I mean, look at these Olympics. Like, look at the national team crowds that come out to women's national team games. We don't have a league because we haven't built one yet. And that's pretty much the only reason. Like all of the top 20, 30 other countries in women's soccer have leagues, period. So, I mean, we need to start one. We need to have NWSL, sure, come into our country. But to the point in that comment, if we're going to affect more than half a dozen professional players that might play in an NWSL team in Toronto, let's say, we can support 200 players in a league. We can support 30 A-licensed coaches. There's only been Carm, hasn't there only been 7 A-licensed women coaches go through the program? Like that's in our country, we have the best. We have a team that makes podiums at every Olympics. Like we have one of the best women's soccer countries in the world, period. So let's give somewhere for our players to play, somewhere for our coaches to coach, somewhere for our referees. We have one of the best referee pipelines in the world for women. Yes. Let's give them somewhere to ref. Like if we're capping these things because there's no jobs, so let's build the industry. Let's create the jobs. If we build it, it's not going to fail. And to Carm's point, it's going to take time to grow. But in 10 years, we could have the 4th or 5th best women's soccer league in the world. And that's a fact.
So is it safe to say that you two could be potentially behind something coming to Canada?
I haven't thought about it at all. I have no idea.
We've been doing no work on this.
We haven't been thinking about it too much. It's possible, but...
Okay. Well, with that being said, I'm going to pump the brakes on it because I don't want to give too much away. I just wanted to throw a little teaser out there so I can clip it, throw it on social media later. We do have Richie Laryea joining us. So we are going to touch on the final. It's weird saying the final of an Olympic game.
That is insane.
Questions or comments, throw it in our chat. I will go back and we'll try to answer as much as I can. And if you have any questions for Richie Laryea, throw it in our chat as well, because I don't want to keep him waiting too long, because I literally text him last minute, will you do a podcast? Get yourself a drink and get ready. So without further ado, Richie Laryea.
Yes, what's up,
Richie?
Richie. I don't know if you're allowed to drink right now because you're in the middle of MLS season.
I have a game tomorrow, so
there's loads of midweek games right. Oh, you're very Carmelina Moscato on us, and we're digging it. First and foremost, if you've been living under a rock or you don't follow Canada's women's team or the men's team, Richie Laryea, obviously, Richie, you've been not only killing it with Toronto since getting traded there. You've been phenomenal. And I'm not even saying this because we're friends. I'm very blunt broadcaster. You have been incredible with the men's team. Phenomenal. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We know you have a family. We know you're back in the TO right now, which is amazing. But I want to first touch on, because we're sticking everything with the women's team right now. What's your initial thoughts on the Canadian women's national team being in the final and knocking off America?
Yeah, no. Thank you guys first and foremost for having me. It's nice to you. I wish I was able to drink with you guys, but it's nice to be able to see you guys.
We'll do it for you.
Exactly. But no. It's been nothing short of amazing to see what the women are doing. You know, it's nice. We got to, some of the guys on our team got to speak with them. We're in a group with them, and they said they felt like they're ready for the tournament and they're going to do well. So honestly, it's so nice to see them playing really well, beat out some really good opponents as well, you know, and just continuing to show how good they are. So yeah, it's amazing. All of us are really, you know, it happened, I think, the day after we had lost to Mexico. So we were bummed about that, and then we woke up and we're like, wow, they crushed it, you know. So it brought a smile to all the staff, all the players' faces, to see that the women did exactly what they needed to do, and it's exciting for this country.
So it's a nice segue into what you just touched on. Obviously, you're coming off, I think, a successful Gold Cup, because you look at, you guys dominated in that Mexico game. You dominated really all tournament. You started to grow throughout the tournament. You go into that Mexico game, played fantastic. You were without some big name players on your team due to injury. What was it like knowing that, I don't know, after the last couple of performances, Canada's here and we potentially could qualify for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar?
Yeah. I think after this Gold Cup, it showed, obviously, people like you guys that watch us very closely, our fans, our families, and whoever else that watches us. But I think internally is what something better happened for us, because we realized we went, you know, toe-to-toe with the U.S., should have went toe-to-toe with a very, very good Mexico side with, like, missing several key players to injury or not even being called up because of preseason Europe. So it was exciting. Honestly, it was at first really hard to take the loss because we felt like we should have won. But then, you know, a few days go by and you're looking at it, you're like, wow, like those guys had 6 to 7 like key players playing, and we had a lot of guys missing, and we should have beaten them still, you know. So it just shows how far the country's come, how far our programs come, and how much depth we have in our national team, because we've been missing that for a little bit now. And now it's going to be tough for John Herdman to select an 11. He's going to have some headache moving forward. So it's all good things for our program and our country, though.
So Richie, without disclosing your secret sauce, what is the secret sauce? What's going on in that camp? How are you continuing to, you know, produce these and continue to grow as a group? Like, what are some of the things that are contributing to this very apparent success and growth?
Yeah, honestly, I think just the structure we have now with our group is amazing. You know, a lot of guys keeping like constant contact. And for me, I was telling one of the guys in camp, it's weird because I'm playing with the guys that like were my best friends growing up. I played against them, with them. And then there's guys older than me, you know, guys like Atiba Jr., Oso Kava, guys like these that like I looked up to when I was playing, you know, because they're older than me. So such a weird mix. And then you have guys younger than you that looked up to you. So it's like it's like come full circle, you know. So I think guys get in there, and then everyone realizes how nice and Canadian everyone is. No one's about each other. So it's perfect. I think we have a really good chemistry, and we always say brotherhood and stuff like that. But I think we really
amazing. And I think that's one thing that you can see, like, on the pitch watching the games, because I've been watching you guys obviously faithfully, not only for my job, but because I'm genuinely invested in you guys now. And especially since John Herdman's come over. Now, we know what John has done for our program. I think the biggest question marks, and even speaking to him, he got hammered in the media about going to the men's side. Can you do this? Can you be successful? And now he's proven that he can. So what's the biggest thing that he has brought into the men's team that's kind of not shocked you, but shocked you?
Yeah, I think first of all, that guy's speeches are something special, you know. Everyone, as soon as he finishes speaking, everyone's like, I'm gonna run through a wall for this guy. Yeah. So, that's a big part of it for sure. But again, he I think he's brought the structure and that type of stability that this national team, that our men's side needed, because I think before we still had really good, I wasn't in the program prior to John being there, but there were still really good players on those teams, and definitely good enough to win a lot of games and like make a push and run for things. But I think John and his staff have come in and they've really created, I know you guys probably know all about the different languages he uses for and all that. So
they've probably dropped like 3 John Herdman terms. You said John Herdman. The tournament.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it's part of the lingo now.
Does he jump in? Does he jump into training at all, you guys? Does he jump into a round or
anything? Tell us.
I've seen him very rarely.
You know why? Because Kaylin took him out about 8 years ago. He can't run it anymore.
So he still has a bad hit from it. He was like annoying you and like just screwing everything, bad touches, bad passes, and so I went into him.
He doesn't move. He doesn't move the ball well.
He doesn't move it well.
That seems something Kaylin would do, I think, right there. I've seen you do that once or twice.
Yeah, I'm a winner. Okay, I like winning. He wasn't allowing us to win, so I go.
I got one. No, I got one. I got to
go.
Okay, so you're from Toronto? Toronto?
Yeah.
In the city?
Grew up North York.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we'll take that. Oakville. So yeah, Toronto's never really Toronto. Tell me, because obviously on the women's side, we're trying to get a league started. You know, next 4 or 5 years from now, we're gonna have, TFC's gonna have a women's program and we're gonna have a league. So can you speak to growing up in Toronto, knowing TFC's there, like what that meant to you, and then like getting to put on a hometown shirt essentially, and what that's meant to you?
Woo.
Yeah, that's that was honestly a big one for me once I was able to come back here and put on that TFC jersey, because it's like it was a stadium I used to go to watch games with my brother, with my dad, to see Toronto FC. It's the first professional, or our professional team in our city, so it's definitely it's awesome. It's so cool to put on that jersey. But just leading up to knowing that Toronto FC was in my backyard growing up was definitely an extra push. There's a lot of very good players my age and guys that were better than me. So I was thinking, no, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, quite humble.
You're humble. You're being humble.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, okay.
The academy team was really good. The guys my age were really good. They made up, for men's at least, the national team, the youth ones, it was always like 80% Toronto guys and then 20% other places, So we had a really strong pool. So to have Toronto FC and to see those guys go to those academies and train with them and see the level they were at was cool for me and something I could gauge myself with. I never played for the academy growing up, but I definitely followed it really closely and saw what it meant to those guys and also to me, because again, for me, that's like you grow up watching Barca, Madrid, whatever you might see. And it's for them now, that's our Barca or Madrid is Toronto FC, because it's our professional team in our city. So definitely now, I think sometimes I don't even really realize that how big it is for me to play here, especially for my parents. I think they remind me a lot, but I don't think I really realize it. But it is special. I said the other day that if you could do one thing as a pro, being able to play in your hometown is probably the coolest thing you could do.
I got chills. I totally agree.
So did I. Well, Richie, we wish you the best in the MLS, just not against Inter Miami. Okay? We play you in
the wrong show, Kayla.
Yeah, no.
I do want to touch on 2 quick things. One's a little bit of a fun one. Anytime I watch a game, Richie, you get brought down in the box. You have really done so well doing your homework of knowing when defenders are going to come in and tackle. 9 times out of 10, it's a penalty. Now, there was a missed one in the Gold Cup. I will say that. I was raging on social media. How do you do it?
Honestly, I don't even know. I think I just get in there and I'm trying to either one, I'm way too tired to do anything else at that point. So I'm like, please take me. But 2, no, I think just being able to play in an attacking position before, it was nice for like now that I'm a defender, I see what defenders do in those certain situations. So I know what they're thinking at times. And I've given away a penalty now from my first.
That's not what the show's about, Richie. It's all right.
I know, but he got me. He got one up on me. He did what I do to people. So when I did kick him, damn, this guy got me. You know, I couldn't even contest it, but it was just, I don't know. I think it just must be something I had from when I was growing up as well. So
no, it's amazing.
But now they're not giving me as many anymore.
Yeah, no. Well, they missed 2, and we have it in our comment section here.
Yeah, proof.
Richie, we won't keep you any longer because we know you have a million things and a family and a game tomorrow. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Wine and the Tea. Wish you the best of luck in the MLS. Wish you the best of luck with the men's team, and cannot wait. And I'm going to quote this for you guys to qualify for the 2022 World Cup, because I have a feeling, and my gut has not been wrong thus far in the Olympics, that you guys will qualify. I think it'll be difficult, but I just see the power and I think see the mindset behind your team right now. And I think the world is your guys' oyster, and I think you guys are going to dominate. And I cannot wait to see you in Qatar, and hopefully I'll be there commentating on it. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you guys. That's amazing. You guys continue this. This is fun. Whenever you want to bring me back on.
Oh yeah, we will.
Richie, don't say that, because next week we get into the margaritas, so it could be a little bit.
We'll have you back postseason for.
Yeah, I think that's what we got to do.
All right, Richie, take care.
All right, thank you guys. See you guys.
Cheers.
See you, Richie. What a nice guy. Oh my gosh.
Okay, we are literally at 45 minutes, which is wild. But it's because we had amazing guests, so I don't even care. This has been, I think, and it's nothing against John, because John's been our only other guest, I think. Who else has been our guest?
What?
Aisha? What?
Aisha.
No, but Aisha's on this
You're
one.
forgetting Karina. We won't tell her. She's not watching. It's fine.
No, but Karina's part of our show. No, Karina's part of our show already. I do have a bone to pick with you. Anastasia, if you're still tuning in,
I think she's under work,
you 3 left me out the other day. It hurt. I'm just going to leave it.
That is Anastasia's fault, yeah.
Yeah, Anastasia's fault.
Let's do a preview for the final real quick, just in case we aren't able to shoot another Wine and the Tea before then. Carm, I'm going to start with you. Sweden have won all of their games in the Olympics. They have been flying. What is your initial thoughts going into this match? Can Canada do it?
First of all, yes, absolutely. I think Canada has put so many years into being an adaptable team. I think Bev came in, simplified the tactics, made sure that they were excellent at certain things that have gotten them to a final, namely their defensive organization, and their transition has been pretty decent. I would say one thing. Sweden has figured out how to press teams, keep them out of range, and cause havoc in terms of, I don't think I've seen a better press in a long time, and I think that's something that 3-0 against the States that proves everything you need to know. Maybe not this tournament because the States wasn't firing, but you get what I mean. 3 goals against the States.
You get what I mean, right?
Listen, I had to throw that in there. We only get this moment once. I had to say that. Then what I'm trying to say is, in a nutshell, I think it's, D, we've had these debates. I know it's about getting to the final and all these things, but I think tactically it's going to be a masterclass. I think there's 2 teams that are doing very well, very organized, and it'll come down to really slim margins. And people showing up and really, individuals changing the game and doing something special, because you're not really gonna get that time and space because these teams are too organized. So I just can't wait for that special moment for someone to break out, show what they do, and who knows who that's gonna be. Probably Jesse Fleming. But go on, D.
No, just one quick thing, D, before you go. There's a lot of people saying the keys to the match, saying Fleming was so calm, cool, and collected throughout the tournament. So, D, you're now going to your keys of the match. Carmen, you touched on it without even reading the comments. I love it. You're like a reader.
Magic. Yep, I agree with Carm on a lot of that. I think it's going to take a moment of magic. Sweden, we got to be careful. Those balls in behind, they make really smart runs. Like the type of goal we gave up against Japan, got to be on that. Set plays. They've scored on a lot of crosses and set plays. And then Lindahl is obviously a very good keeper. Canada's pretty good against Sweden in the past. I'm going to disagree with one thing Carm said. Tactics, who needs them? This Olympics is not about tactics.
We'll never agree on this.
Is about just having to go. And let Sweden press us. It's like,
isn't that a tactic?
It's like 45 degrees over there in the 6th game in 16 days. Like, let them try and press us. We'll see how that goes for 90 minutes. Their biggest strength, I think, for me, is the fact that they were in the last Olympic final against Germany and they came away with silver. And teams that lost in a final previously are generally have a really good turnaround in the next final. So that's their biggest advantage going into this game, I think.
Okay, so a lot of people saying that Sweden didn't show up against Australia, though. Do you think that could play into our favor a little bit? Carm?
In this way, I agree with Dee. I think it's a final. I think they're going to show up with their best lineup, their best energy, their best selves. Like, we don't need to go back to what we've experienced. For example, like we talked about our bronze medal match and that final match in London, and we were totally outplayed and team spirit prevailed. So I agree with Dee in the sense that, yes, listen, I understand sometimes it's bigger than the moment. You need a bit of luck, a bit of magic, but tactics absolutely play a part, although I don't remember a single tactic from the France game.
Yeah.
So maybe she has.
I will, and I do like, I'm in agreement with Carm because you know what I'm like with tactics.
Yeah.
Tactics play a big role, but
you're like, they're not going to be tactical less. They're just not going to make the difference.
Dee, I'm playing 50-50 here. Let me get on my white picket fence before you
debate
off of it. I think the one thing that you nailed is that bronze medal match in 2012. It came down to passion, the mindset of our team that we are not leaving here without a medal. And I genuinely feel, I think this game will go into PKs. That's what I think is going to happen. And I hate when teams or games are decided on PKs, but I just think that is where it's going to go, because how these teams battle just like past performances against each other, I think it will go down to PKs, and I think we will prevail on PKs.
Do you know what I'm calling? I'm saying no PKs, and I'm saying Nichelle Prince for the game winner.
Ooh. What about you? Rub that crystal ball.
Me, if I were to say, honestly, I think Janine Becky's going to rise. I think she has a lot of history, and she's going to, she's done it before, and I think she has a lot to play for. I think she'll get a goal. I think Janine Becky will rise to this occasion. She's been waiting for this stage.
And Kaylin gets 3, which is a good pick.
Oh, Dree.
Yeah.
Dree. If you don't know I like Dree, I love Dree. Now, the one thing I will say, though, I have to put my hands up for this before we end this show. I need to apologize to Bev because I was very vocal that I didn't think she was the right selection for the job. I didn't think the managing side was going to be good enough. I knew she knew tactics, and obviously being under John Herdman, she's coached at a high level. I think she's done a brilliant job at the collectiveness of this team. It's the only team in the Olympic Games where every player has featured. So every player on the team will receive a medal in that final game, which I think says a lot about how she's managed things. Anyway.
I want to agree. Clutch the King said, can we manifest a Quinn goal? And that's not a bad bet either. Quinny's stepping up.
They have been amazing. The
role in the midfield a bit deeper, doesn't get as many chances, but they can score goals. I think Quinny has more hat tricks for Canada than I.
They don't get goal scoring opportunities, but they also don't get enough credit. Deep line midfielders, I will say that. Neither do center back, Carm. Okay.
I was going to say, where are we going with this convo? Because how much?
Desi last game was fire again too. Just to run that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, thank you guys all for tuning in to Wine and the Tea with Carm, K, and D. We had some amazing guests. Aisha joined us again because what's not to like about Aisha? And then also we had Richie, Laryea, Canadian men's national team player and Toronto FC superstar, phenomenal performance in the Gold Cup. And with the Hexagon just around the corner, qualification for the 2022 Men's World Cup in Qatar, it's set to be a good one. So support our women's team. We are in the gold effing medal game.
Can you believe it?
We popping champagne next epi.
I will get some.
There was someone in here that said, "Kaylin, where's your Moet?" I'm saving it. I do have it. It's in my fridge, but I'm saving it for when we win gold.
I'll actually go into Copenhagen and grab some champagne.
And can we pop it all on the show? The next one?
Yes.
Sure, I'm sure that will go flawlessly.
Okay, again, for myself, Kaylin, Kyle, Dinah Matheson, and Carmelina Moscato, thank you and happy. Is it Tuesday?
I don't know. That's okay.
Wednesday
for me now. See you.
Ciao, ciao.
It's Wednesday in Tokyo. Am I right?